Hello guys, welcome to the end of season review for the Rockies for Season 7. Now, I've done it for Season 5 and Season 6. Season 7, it's not going to be as long, because I didn't get playoffs this season. Which is fine, and we'll do a deep dive to find out exactly why, although I have a pretty good idea why. But we'll get there. So, let's start with the draft itself, and let's see what... After the draft trading period finished, let's see what the actual team ended up with. So, Ahmed, Sarah, Amir, Kristen, Wendy, Ernie, Randy, Gail, and Rose. So, I'm in two minds about a lot of this. So, originally when I joined this season, the plan was I wanted to kind of switch it up a bit. So, the idea was to go for a more aggressive team and a team that had a lot more bat to it. And I thought the Cans were a really good way to go about doing that. Now, the problem with me doing that is I don't feel like that aggressive side that I was trying to do worked. I think that very much showed very early. So, originally, the Cans were kind of someone I brought in. I think I traded Ben for, I can't remember who, we will get to that. But I traded Ben for two people to get the Cans. And they were kind of the beginning of the end. Because that was the hard commit, right? That was the hard commit to getting a really, like a much more offensive style team. And I think that kind of derailed the season. Cheers, Robin. Right, Sarah was a fine trade. There was nothing wrong with the Sarah trade. Kristen's a funny one because realistically at this team, this is just a bad draft pick in general. Just because why... I was obviously going to pitch with Wendy. Right, that was a given, right? That was going to happen regardless. So why did I pick Kristen? Did I need Kristen? Did I trade for Kristen? Let's have a look at the trades, because I need to find out what was going on. So, I had Wally, which I traded for Wendy. Right, that's fine. That was going to happen regardless. I told Red during the draft, like, you know, I'm going to be trading you for Wendy at some point. Is Wally better than Wendy? For some people, yeah. For some people, Wally is definitely better than Wendy. However, Wendy is certainly not better. For Red, in this case, it's a much better trade for me, and we will get to. But I needed Wendy, right? This goes without saying. The Cans for Emily Lubell and Maya Woodworth. This is why. This is terrible. This is not good. This is a problem. The funny thing is, I said, right, I'm going for a much more offensive type of team, right? So I'm going to go with the Cans for Emily Lubell and Maya. Both Maya and Emily are over 80 power. Like, they're good line drivers, and they've got speed, and they've got arm. Just because I want to go offensive, I don't have to go for home runners. I could have just went down the... just a line drive, get around the field type deal. The same thing that I do every season. And yet, for some reason, I decided I wanted to change it this season. This is odd. This was very odd. I think I was just tired of not getting home runs. But I was getting home runs with Chico. So this hard commit to this, like, over-the-fence style, like, there was no reason for me to do this. Horace for Artie. I mean, this is just bad. Again, this is bad too. Why? I know Artie is an outfield specialist, and I think I was missing an outfielder a fair bit. But Horace, again, line drives, get around the field, the same thing I've done every single season. Horace just works for that. So, why am I doing that trade? That is not a good trade either. This was a terrible trading season for me. Zenon for Sarah. I then got Zenon back. I'm assuming I tried to get some kind of value, but I did Zenon for Sarah. I'm not that mad at that. That's fine. Because this is what happened, right? This is what happened. I got the Cans and then realised that I actually am lacking in a lot of defence now. So I then... Why? Wait, hang on a minute. So I had Emily, Zenon, and Maya. Honestly, the more I look at these trades, the worse they're getting. Because I don't... At that point, if I already had Zenon, why did I want the cans? How all in did I want to go? And then, when I managed to get the cans and Zenon, I then decided to get rid of Zenon. Am I committing to... What? This is a weird trade. This whole trading period here is very odd. I think that was all the before the actual start of the season trades up to that point there, and then it was there's no other trades here, so I assume the other trades are in the stats. Did I do any waivers? No. Yeah, so this is what it ended up looking like. God, that's just really odd. That's just very strange. Okay, fair enough. I don't see. What slot draft was I? You. So I was pretty far back. So yeah, me getting Zenon as well as Lubel and Maya just kind of makes sense. Why did I trade anyone? I could have just stayed. I actually had a HLer DM me and say, if you just keep your team as it is as you drafted it, that should be an easy trip into the playoffs because the team's really strong. And yeah, I apparently decided to trade every single one of them. Some at the door. Well, letter box. Okay. So let's have a look at 6 and 8. So it didn't qualify. I did avoid the gauntlet, which is nice. Less of that, because I don't particularly weight the gauntlet. I don't think the gauntlet works. I think it's something that needs to be worked on. I don't know how it would be worked on, but it just seems... The fact that, right, the argument that I made originally is that you can fight for playoffs, right? And you fight for playoffs, and it's your chance to get into the HL, right? However, if you get placed in the gauntlet in the junior league, that already puts you at a point where you're like, what, 2 steps off in the gauntlet from being in the HL anyway. So under that basis, you have better odds getting into the HL being in the gauntlet than you do of being in the playoffs. That doesn't work. And you might think, well, how? Because you have to play 2 matches in the gauntlet, and if you do well in the playoffs, you might get HL kind of 1 spot off HL, unless obviously you win or you get into the final. But the argument then is, if you're placed in the gauntlet, you get placed in a gauntlet against a lot of people, including new coaches, including coaches from divisions that are lower down than you. One of those people from a lower down division could just go on a good run, and they could easily be one of your 2 matches. You could be in a final with one of them players. And then you've just got a free trip into the HL. It's happened this season. So I don't think the gauntlet works. So I've avoided that, which is nice. If I was to get into the HL, cool. You know, you take everything in stride, right? But realistically, it's much more competitive for me in the junior league. I'm not a HL coach. I'm not there. So to be honest, this probably isn't necessarily such a bad thing. But I would have liked to be in I would have liked to be in here. Like here. I'll be honest, I think I could have been there. But we'll get to why I could have been there and why inevitably I wasn't there. Let's have a little look at the team. So this is what I eventually went into. So I'm trying to find, there's no trades in the stats list, right? Right, because obviously there's Larry and there's more who were traded later. Can I have a look to see who they were traded for? Obviously they're not on the sheet, but can I just go by the roster and and do it that way? So Kristen's gone and Sarah's gone. So I think I went Sarah and Kristen for Mo and Lowy. I'm not actually bad. That's probably the only good trade. No, because didn't I have Pamela Kirkos? Yeah, Pam's there. So who did I trade Pam with? No. I went Lowy. Who did Will have? I know I give the cans to Will. So Will had... Courtney and Yvonne. Who I also had at one point. I made so many trades this season. Oh my god. I definitely had... Did I have Courtney? I did, right? And then I give Courtney to Ben, who then I assume give Courtney to Will. I then traded Will the cans for... Right, so who did Depp have? Not Depp, Ben. I have no idea. This is a mess. There's Pamela. Did I trade Pamela? Who did I give Siren for Pamela? Kristen. Did I do... So I did Kristen for Pamela. Okay, I'm not mad at that. Pamela was okay. I actually didn't mind Pamela. Yeah, I mean, this final team is fine. There's a couple of, like, issues. Rose isn't built for steel. So Rose just kind of shouldn't have been there anyway. Gale... Probably not necessarily is built for steel anyway. Neither of these are great. Gale was fine, right? And Rose did a job, but that free speed and... I mean, she has 11 attention. She cost me so many games. She cost me so many games. Let's see if I can do a recap. Let's see if we can do a recap. So, my game against Ben. The game against Red, it went... 9 innings, I think. Might be an 8, but I think it was 9. That ended in a 1-0 loss because I was in a tagging match between third and home. You know, the old back and forth. Which, to be fair, that happened a lot this season. There was a couple of games where I've lost games just because of that third to home area. Mainly because of Rose being a catcher. But someone was coming over at home, back and forth. It's fine, it is what it is, you're doing that, blah, 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 blah. The problem is, I, at one point, because he was stamming out super badly, ran with Rose to go and get him, because at this point he was that stammed out that Rose was faster, but he was getting close enough that I then threw it. He then circled back around. He can't have been that stammed out, though, because then the third person would have just tagged him out. This is not so much a review, by the way, as it is just me talking. I'm just theory crafting at this point. But Rose was off base. So what Wendy had to do is Wendy had to run from the pitcher's area to catcher to try and catch the ball because Rose wasn't going to get there. Wendy just missed. They get home based off that, and that gives Red the 1-0 win. Red... I'd say, and I don't even think I'm capping that much. I don't feel like I'm blowing my own horn too much. I think I'm the best defensive player in this league. I'm going to leave it pause for dramatic effect. Hear me out. I'm 6-8. Joe, no, we'll get to it. Right. Anyway, the Char match. Right, listen, the Char game is what it is. That was just a straight up loss. I had the cans at this point. I was going for a defensive kind of style. That's what I was planning on doing this season. So, when I knew I was versing Char, I knew there was going to be a lot of runs regardless. So I thought, you know what? I'm just going to have fun with it. And we're going to do a whole Rope versus America thing. And we're just going to have a home run derby. And we're going to see who can get over the fence. And listen, if this season has taught me anything, and to be honest, it's taught me something that I already know, I'm not an offensive coach. And that's not a fight I was going to win. I think Amir scored twice. Yeah, Amir got two. And then I must have got one. Ernie got one of the bases. But yeah, realistically, I wasn't going to win that fight. Because if I remember correctly, Chart also had a ridiculous power team at the time. But honestly, it could have went a little bit worse. So 3-9 I will take. Home run coaches, like coaches who just love to get it over, like just straight over the fence, big power coaches, is what I will always struggle with, because it doesn't matter what my defense is like. If it's going over the fence, it's going over the fence. So there's that. The Perky game. What happened to the Perky game? Yes, I remember the Perky game. Right, so the good thing about me, right, this season is I recorded nearly all my matches. So I have receipts for all of these. So there's a couple of matches here that I'm going to say stuff about, and people are going to say the copium is insane. But the reason why I can say this is because I have recorded all the games on this channel, and I can literally timestamp you the points that I'm talking about. So I have all the receipts. So the Perky game, it was 0-0 up until like the fourth inning, I think. Or third inning or fourth inning. Then I think he was on second. No, he wasn't. Yes, he was on second. He went to steal for third. But his steal from second to third was super late. So I had the ball at first. I was going to throw it to the pitcher. But before doing that, I remember because I was on a call with Perky at the time, I was checking my frames on the Steam Labs. Literally, if you see me looking over here, this monitor here is Steam Labs, and obviously that's the actual game. So I'm looking over here at the Steam Labs. I then turn, and it was super late, so I wasn't expecting it. I then turn. He's 3/4 of the way to third base. I then go, oh shit! I throw the ball. It bounces off my third base. Does it? No, it goes past my third base. I'll tell you what. I've just realised that I've had the window open, so I can literally... Hang on. We can literally just look these up. Right, give me a second. That's pre-season. Monsters. Is that what that is? The Monsters? Was Perky the Monsters? He was. Right, okay. So, Perky versus the Monsters. I mean, Perky versus the Monsters. Right. So... So is this just a homer? Yeah, right. So, it's only bottom of the first. So, we're here, right? Going across, going across, going across. That's fine. Over a third. Right. This part here. I literally go... Because, watch, wait. He's going to third. He's not running at this point, right? Because Wendy's already got the ball. He's making his way to the pitcher's mound. So I think nothing of it. There, I'm now checking my OBS for drop frames. Now he's moving. I turn around, too late, bounce off Amir. I then go over there, bounce off Wendy. Rose isn't there now because Rose has moved off base. I go to throw it at Wendy. Wendy gets there. I then throw it again.
Oh, let's go.
It's little things like that. I've had that all season. Like, that is so unfortunate. And the second one, I think, is literally just the game doing game things. Yeah, and that's just Kristen diving when she didn't have to dive because she's got speed. She could have just been there, but she wasn't. Yeah, but that first one, it's little things like this. It's little things like that, which are absolutely killer. And there's a lot of that. There's a lot of that this season. Right. Next game was Russ. What happened on the Russ game? Did I even record the Russ game? I didn't. In fact, I'm pretty sure that was a crash out game. It was a crash out game, and I'm trying to remember the reason why. Something happened. Yes. So we played this game, and I think I was 2-0 up, and then a crash happened, or something happened, and we had to no, Russ had to go out. Russ had to go out and do something. He came back. By that time, obviously, it timed out. So we were like, right, let's start again. Russ said, do you want to start from the beginning? I was perfectly confident because I was like, I'm 2-0 up. This match is going well. Okay, let's just start again from the beginning. I then lost. That's a crash out. That was a crash out. I was pissed. I was really pissed because I was like, that first game, like, I was walking that first match. The crash out was real. The mic game, I don't remember what happened on the mic game. The Ben game, that game was... Oh, I have never sweated and try-harded so much in my life. But that game is very interesting because that game is what I think this team could have been capable of when everything just works. Yeah, the DH game was fine. The Will game was... Listen, I'm going to say this, right? Because I feel like it needs to be said. Because I don't think a lot of people are giving him his credit. Will is actually really good offensively. He is. It is what it is. He's just really good offensively. I'm not sure if he said he's coming back next season or whether he's just going to stick with BBOL, but I hope he does. Because he's just going to improve. And he's Junior League all day long. I remember when we first started the Junior League and there was some people that were like, he's literally just started when we put him in the Junior League. He held his own perfectly fine. He is Junior League level and he will be Junior League level. The Depp game, that was just a loss. That was fine. That was just a loss. Depp this season has beat me every single turn and it's always been by close margins. It is what it is. It is what it is. Depp has improved so much this season, it's unreal. Before this season, I was undefeated against Depp. Like, full stop. And I think I've lost to Depp 3 times this season, maybe 4 times this season. 2 in the Squid Leagues. Actually, it might have been 3 in the Squid Leagues, because obviously we've got the actual league game and then the playoffs. Yeah, maybe. I did have 1 game in the Squid League since Depp where it went, I think it was 14 innings. Like, that was wild. I could have won one of them games too. I literally got up on the fence. I had Cal at 3rd. Or was it 2nd? I can't remember. But point being, it was on the truck. So I could have got Cal home. But I thought to myself, do you know what? This has been going so many innings. I don't want to win just because the ball's bouncing around on the top of the truck. Probably should have. Depp did. You know what I mean? It's one of those, isn't it? Like, just go home, my dude. DLW, I don't really remember that game. I think it was fine. 2-year. The 2-year game was the same as the red game. I was 1-0 ahead for the vast majority. We'll take a look at that one too. Let's have a look. 2-year is the Rangers game. Let's have a look. This is back when I was. This is when I was doing highlights, so at least this one's easier to find. Right. Nope. Hang on a minute. Yeah, so I was 1-0 up. Just comfortable defensive thing all the way up to the bottom of the 5th. He got a couple of people on bases. Got very scary, especially because he's got a lot of power. This is scary. You know, he's got 3 on base, so anything could have happened here. Wanaka hits it. Zenon drops it, which gets Cap the point. That's just Cap's point. That's fine. Boom. And then what happens next turn? Oh. Wars is quite the pariah. But that's what happened in that game. But other than that, that was unfortunate. That was mine to win. But it's fine. Nick. I'm going to have to open it up again. The Nick game. Right. Oh dear. Right, White Sox. This one. Let's have a look. So the White Sox game. Let me mute that real quick. So the White Sox. I believe they just get home. Yeah, that's absolutely fine. So that was just Nick getting ahead. That is A-okay. I think bear with me. I have a sneaky suspicion I'm thinking of a different game. Right, Pam gets over. That's fine. That was unfortunate. Might not have been the Nick game. Yeah, there's like nothing wrong with this game. Yeah, I just lost the Nick game. I don't know what I thought happened that game, but yeah, nothing happened. The Isaiah game is what it is. The Stern game, I think I've already explained what happened in this one, but I will show it anyway. Let's have a look. See. So it was 2-1, and I think it was 2-1 like was it 3-1? Yeah, 3-1. Oh, right, because there's a restart. There's a massive chunk here. I didn't realise that that is even there. Okay, anyway. So, 3-1. Lindsay, blah, 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 blah. Right. Somebody's on base there. I'm not sure who it is. Who is it? Is it Randy? It's Randy, right. So, top of the 6th. It's me up. Last inning. Larry hits it. Absolutely bombs it. Goes up on the truck. Now, you can be generous or you can be cruel. Let's be cruel and say it's a double at most. Randy's at 3rd. Larry's at 2nd. I've got 0 outs. And Zenon and Moore up next. I could have won this game. And that's if I'm being cruel. If I'm being generous, because you don't know what the bounce is like on the truck, and that's kind of the problem. There's so much volatility there, you can't really tell. Randy and Larry, maybe not Larry, but Randy definitely could have got home. Larry would have been on 3rd. Zenon and Moore up next with no outs. So one of them is guaranteed to hit at least, you know, a decent shot. So Larry gets home. So on that kind of scenario, at the very least, I've tied it up. I think this game would have got me playoffs if this game didn't crash. But it did. So, you know, what do you want? And then, of course, we restarted for the last top of the inning and nobody did anything. So, it is what it is. But, yeah, very frustrating. Frustrating season. But, there's a couple of bits that I need to address. First off, I need to rate these guys. So let's go ahead and do that. And I'll leave Wendy till last. She's cost me some games. She has that line drive ability. Unfortunately, that ability to get a good line drive off and get people across base, I think is countered by the fact that she will then feed doubles for future people coming behind her. So I would say like a 4, because she generally was pretty terrible. However, I also have to take into account that she was Flugel, right? So you need to go by what the set standard is for that player. And people generally, nobody cares, right? Nobody's picking Rose and being like, we'll get good performances. You're picking Rose because, oh, there's nobody left, I'll take Rose. I'll give her a 5. I'll give her a 5. Gail. To be honest, the more I look at Gail, the more of a problem she probably was. I kind of give her a lot of wiggle room. But honestly, I looked at the eye and I looked at the coordination and I thought, you know what, she'll do a perfectly fine job in the outfield. And occasionally she did. She had her moments. But she just seemed to drop a lot. And the problem is, especially later on in the game, because her stamina isn't great either, she does not recover very well at all. And with that low stamina, even offensively, maybe you can get off a grounder or something to like lead. I used her as a lead off just to get her out of the rotation, and there's a chance that she can hold. With 72 contact, she can get a decent grounder down, but even that only works for a couple of innings because she hasn't got the stamina. I'm going to give Gail a 5 as well. She's not worth any more than that. But at the same time, can I say she did a worse job than Rose? I can't. Randy, right. I traded Artie Pimbleton to Char for Randy Uno. Randy Uno, just basing off this season, you know, is one of the worst players I've ever seen. I have never seen a player drop so many balls in my life. Now listen, I know you can easily turn around and say, well, the stats are right there. You know, you could always read the stats. I know, but even with the stats, it was just gross. She has a 78 arm, round about that area where you want a third baseman. You want a third baseman with at least like 70 plus arm, at least. 80 would be even better, but the 80 power, I mean, kind of she gets on base sometimes, but on steel with 5 speed, it just didn't really work. I certainly wouldn't pick her again. Gale's funny because Gale, out of these 3 so far, is the only one that I'd be like, do you know what? On a faster pitch, on a faster field, maybe I'd consider, but nah, I wouldn't go Randy again. I'll give Randy a... I can't give them all 5. 4? I can't give her a 5. She's getting a 5 as well. I just think they've all been so mediocre so far. Ernie, right, here's the thing. Ernie on steel is fine. He does a job. He kind of drops a lot, which for a 4 height with 100 coordination and 85 eye, you wouldn't expect. But there is occasionally where the ball will hit him, and he'll just max pain bullet dive onto the floor. But he wasn't bad. He has unfortunate moments when he's not buffed, when he's not on steel. He does have a tendency to wander a lot because basically I have to put him on first base at that point. He does wander a bit, but he was manageable. I'll give Ernie a 6. He was better than the other 3. Considerably better than the other 3. Would I pick him again? No, but only because I don't think I'd pick Steele again. I just don't think it works for the defensive style that I'm used to doing and the defensive style that I'm going to be sticking to from now on, because this did not work. To be honest, the whole time playing Ernie, all I was thinking to myself is, I'd rather have Kimmy. At least with Kimmy, I get to go with Ekman. Ekman's better than Steele. Is what it is. Right, I'm skipping Wendy for now. Moore's a funny one because offensively he wasn't that good. He had a couple of good hits. Because he can. He's got it in his arsenal. But for me, he was more useful as a relief pitcher than anything else. And as a relief pitcher, he actually did okay. What was it? 2.19 hour. It's reasonable, considering his pitching stats are that bad. He did a job. Would I pick him again? Here's the thing. I wouldn't. But I'm going to. Because Season 5, Season 6 and Season 7, I have had either Alyssa Blakely or Moore. For some reason, I repeatedly pick them, despite not actually liking them. Every season I say, they didn't really perform. Probably won't pick them again in the future. And then I just do. So I need to set a reminder or a notification or a big piece of paper next draft day. Do not pick Blakely and do not pick Moore. I don't care if there's no one else available. Just pick someone else. Because I'm just not a huge fan. With that being said, like I said, as a relief pitcher, he did his job. He was fine. Did a bit of batting. Defensively, yeah, he was fine going on first base when Ernie was in the outfield because he wanted steal. I'll give him a 6. He was fine. He was usable, but he was slightly less than what I was expecting. Pamela is the most vanilla kid ever. Like, her stats are so neutral, and that's the same as her rating. She was fine. She did her job. I would have liked a slightly stronger shortstop. And I could have went Larry at shortstop, but I wanted the extra eye in the outfield. Pamela is good, but Pamela is kind of just a bad version of Cal. And the arm is a little bit weak for shortstop, I think. But she was fine. She did a job. 6. 6. I can't justify 7s for like any of these because none of them performed worthy of a 7. Lowy. I actually thought Lowy was really good. Speaking of being worthy of 7s. Lowy is probably the saving grace in this team. Because Lowy was pretty damn consistent, I'm not going to lie. Does Lowy have the highest average, apart from Zenon? For obvious reasons, yeah. 0.346. Was that my average this season? That is not good. Oh my dear. I had 1 third base all season. Steele is... This is a slow boy. I mean, he's a 7. He's not getting more than that. He hardly, you know... He hardly blew the competition away. But I'll give him a 7. He was fine. Zenon... Lowy gets a 7. Zenon gets... 6. 5. 5. No, he's getting a 5. Right. 5 home runs all season. You're Zenon Estrada. You should be getting at least 1 a game. You're just Chico, but bad. Because the thing with Chico is, even if he gets walked, he has enough speed that he can get around the bases pretty consistently if he has good line drivers behind him to work around the bases. Like I said, the way I kind of usually go about doing it. Zenon can't do that. And he certainly can't do that on Steele. So once he doesn't get that home run, he kind of becomes useless. I'm giving him a 5. Just because he was there to do Chico's job, and he can't do Chico's job. Even on the offensive side, he didn't do Chico's job. Which is funny, because if you look at the league leaders, I believe he's the leader for batting average, on-base percentage, on-base slugging, on-base plus slug. According to this, he's the best batter. He's one of the best batters in the league. But could have fooled me. Turning that into runs was the trick. And that is something that Zen just can't do because he's not fast enough. Chico also had this going on. But we finished what? What did we finish last season? 11-3? Speaks for itself, right? Now, Wendy. Let me go to league leaders, right? I finished 6-8. I have the least amount of runs allowed and the least amount of hits allowed all season. Using that logic, using the stats, technically, that puts me in the conversation for the best defensive team of the season. However, as I've just said from when I was waiting through my team did not perform well at all. So how is this becoming a thing? Well, if I look at league leaders and I go over to pitching, Wendy, least amount of runs, second for least amount of hits, least amount of batters faced, and eventually came third in errors. And the whip went down a bit, but the whip's still not bad. But was third on error. I honestly think for Golden, whatever the pitching award is, I think Nancy winning it is fair. But I think Wendy was probably second in that conversation. If for no other reason, because look at who we're comparing Randy with. We're comparing Wendy with Nancy, who is a natural pitcher. We were comparing with Leo Wayne, who is one of the best players in the game, if not the best player in the game. It depends if you value that pitching kit over what Henri and Julie can do. I think maybe. We'll see. Debatable. But point being, Wendy's not a pitcher, but my Wendy is a pitcher. Yeah, I adore Wendy. I think Wendy put in a better shift this season than she has put in any other season, regardless of what the score says. What scares me is because I was that bad when it came to offensively scoring points. If Wendy wasn't doing her job, I could be like, what do you reckon? 4-10? Could have been. If you think of it that way, if Wendy wasn't doing her job, if I traded Wendy and I had Kristen as my pitcher, I'd definitely be in that gauntlet conversation. There's a very good chance. Maybe not getting knocked down to the Little League. That's a little harsh, but definitely, I definitely would have been in that gauntlet conversation, I think. I'm going to give Wendy... How can I not give her a 10? Like, the rest of this team did not perform. Larry was fine. Wendy pitched this entire team out of the gauntlet and out of that danger zone. Excuse me. Yeah. It is what it is. So, I think that's it for my review of this season. It didn't go well, but there's some really nice stats that really kind of bode well for future seasons. I need to learn how to batter. I need to learn how to play offensively more. I need to learn how to actually steal a base now and again. I didn't steal an entire base all season. I mean, it's stealing my team's slow, but maybe look into that. Maybe, a couple of 7 speeds. Would it hurt? Probably not. So I might try something a bit more speedy next season. Maybe a cement. I've been wanting to play cement for a while. The problem is, a lot of the fast fields have home run blocks. And I like Chico, and I want Chico. How many home runs did Chico get last season? Can I check that? Let's have a look. SDL stat sheet. 24 RBIs. Yeah, so 11 RBIs. Why? Because Zedden can't get around the bases. That difference of what? 13? That'd put me on what? 46 to 21? Because defensively, I think Chico's better as well. You can put Chico in the outfield, and actually he's a very competent little outfielder. I don't mind him at all. Good eye. The coordination's not great, but he saves a lot. Debbie, Blakely, Unger, Wendy, Jim, Melissa, Trent, PJ. I love this team. I think I like my Season 5 team even better. However, that obviously was a Little League team, and the Little League teams are inflated, to say the least. Let me have a look, just out of curiosity. I want to see what my Season 5 team looked like. Season 5 Little League. I lost. That's one where I lost to Mully. Chico, Cal, Francis, Blakely, Hillary, Wendy, Sully. Just Jesus Christ. I'd kill to have this team now. This stopped being a review about 10 minutes ago, by the way. Well, 10. This stopped being a review about 5 minutes ago. Now I'm just waffling. Okay, I'm just browsing. Right, that'll do. Right, so this went for 50 minutes. I remember at the start of this video I said this wasn't going to be that long. I went off on some tangents. But whatever. I'm uploading it. It's fine. If you bothered to watch this, cheers. I don't know what to tell you. Yeah. Season 8. We'll go playoffs. We'll go playoffs next season. This was a learning curve of not messing around and not trying to fix what isn't broken. Go back to my defensive roots. Pick a much more defensive team. That's what we'll do. Alright. Thanks for watching, guys.